Hi everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO DevCompass, and I am super thrilled to have you guys here. Thank you so much for sticking with us, for taking this course. I am so proud to see the progress all of you guys are making, and this is what keeps us motivated to do a better job, and we're always open to feedback, so please let us know what we can improve. We've been talking a lot about prompting techniques. How do we make it very certain? How do we give examples so that Claude doesn't hallucinate? How do we declare a schema? How do we take it to the API level with a tool used to get a structured response, and all of that. And this video is going to be about validation and retry, because even with a well-designed extraction schema and targeted few short examples, Claude will sometimes produce output that doesn't pass validation at all. Weird, right? But come on, it's a tech. It happens, right? So a required field is null, but when the input is clearly contained the value, and we discussed that an enum field has a value that isn't in the list, the confidence is below your threshold. What do? You have two options: retry with specific feedback, or stop and escalate. This video is about how to tell the difference and how to implement both correctly. Let's get started. But before that, if you have just come across this video and you don't know what am I talking about, please head over to devcompass.ai and you will get all the relevant information. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. So the first distinction, retryable versus non-retryable failures. If the field present in input but missed in extraction, that's retryable. Field genuinely absent from the input, that's escalate. So retrying won't produce a value that isn't there. If the output format is malformed, it's retryable. A clarifying example in the retry prompt can fix format problems. Same failure 3 times in a row, escalate. Retrying a 4th time after 3 identical failures is just burning tokens with no new signal. Low confidence, not 0, retry once. A second attempt sometimes produces a more confident result on ambiguous inputs. Requires human judgment. Claude can't make from the text alone, escalate. This is a signal that the task exceeds what extraction can do reliably. 4th, ambiguous input where specific feedback may help, retry. You can add more context, point to where the value is, clarify that ambiguity. But retrying with no new information, escalate, because there's nothing new for Claude to work with. Always remember, retry equals imprecision, escalate equals missing information or repeated failure. That's the rule. So retry when the failure is caused by something specific a feedback can fix, escalate when it isn't. Okay? Now, so what happens when you retry? The quality of the retry prompt determines whether you get a bit better result or you don't. So let's look at, if you are going for a generic retry, let's say, the previous extraction was incomplete, please try again. That's the full retry signal. Claude knows it was wrong, but it doesn't know what was wrong, how it was wrong, or why it was wrong. It will try again with the same information that it had before. Same ambiguity, same potential result. So there's no new signal because same information, so likely same result. Whereas if you specify it with a retry prompt, the prompt says customer ID was null in the previous result, look for format CUST XXXX or account number. Customer wrote my account is cust48291. Extract customer ID from this. Now look at what's different. 3 specific pieces of new information. What failed, where to look, the exact text containing the value, the result. So this is the correct retry format. Specific feedback, new information, new signals, so higher success rate. So tell Claude what it missed and where to find it, not just like, hey, try again. That doesn't work. That really doesn't work. Okay. Now, the validation function and the retry logic combine into a loop, and we will see how. This is the code for the complete retry loop for the ticket extraction pipeline. And since it is in an amber box, we know it is about code. So top of the loop, it says max to retries is 3. So the limit is explicit, 3 attempts, then escalate, not an infinite loop. The loop starts by calling Claude with your extraction tool, which is same, tool choice, forcing extract ticket from video 10. It gets a result back. Then it calls validate extraction. If result.valid is true, it's a clean pass. Break out of the loop, return the data. If the result.valid is false, this is where the specific retry feedback matters. Look at the retry prompt being constructed. It takes result.field, the exact field that failed, and result.reason, the exact reason string from the validator. It builds the message, field, failed validation, reason, please re-extract. That reason string was the one that we built into the validation function specifically so that it can be used here. After, let's say, 3 failures, the else block below the loop, it returns escalate true, reason, result.reason, attempts, max to retries, because we have limited the retries to 3. So it's not a crash, it's not a silent failure, it's a very structured escalation object that the pipeline can route to human review, to a flagged incomplete record, or to a separate queue for the customer support agent to look at. The loop has a hard limit, the retry has a specific feedback, the escalation is super structured. 3 principles from this video and the previous video together in one function. So now you know how to do it the right way. That was more of it. Always remember, retryable, imprecision, non-retryable, it's missing info or repeated failure. If you be specific with the retry feedback, it is much better than a generic retry like, hey, this is not working out. You need to tell what Claude is missing, and so that it can produce better results. Also, please set a retry limit, because if there is literally 3 failures or more than 3 failures on same input, then it needs to escalate. Nothing will change. Okay. So yeah, that was it. Validation and retry handles the cases where a single Claude instant doesn't get it right the first time. But the next video is about a different kind of reliability altogether, using a second independent Claude instance, interesting, to review what the first one produced. So this isn't about retrying a failure, it's about catching blind spots that the first instant can't see in its own output for various reasons. Maybe it has run out of context. It could be just anything. So let's look at that. I will see you in the next video.